Good evening, everyone. We are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to another mind blowing session. Today is the 6th, and this is the second session for today. All the speakers has been super amazing. All the teaching has been explosive. My notepad is filled up already. So while we wait and get set, I would like us to listen to a testimonial from one of the inner circle parents. By the way, the TIP inner circle is an annual program for everyone who wants to walk their journey intentionally. So please listen to this short testimonial.
Hello, my name is Gini Kamubudu, and this is my second year in the intentional parenting group. It's been a great journey. I really love being a part of the community because it's a community where you come and share your challenges. As a parent, you will always meet challenges at different stages, and knowing that there's a community where you can come and be free to share what you're going through, and different people come with their different point of view and let you know how they handle their challenges is a great thing. Because one thing is going through a challenge, another thing is knowing that people went through it before you and more will still go through it. So sharing that knowledge, sharing that insight, it helps knowing that you're not alone in the journey. Another great thing about the group is that because we always have a book that we read every month, we go deep into the book and share our insights and reviews from it. It helps you with the journey, knowing that there are better ways to do things. Coach will always say there's always a higher knowledge, and knowing these things help make the journey easier, because parenting is really not an easy journey. But having that the ways to navigate them, it helps a whole lot. And as I said before, having that community where you can share your joys, your challenges, is a great deal. And I believe that when many of us
Welcome back. We have all heard from the horse's mouth. So we advise you to join the CIP 2021 Inner Circle. Just like Otwendo would say that parenting is not in tips and acts, parenting is a process. And this is one of the things that the CIP Inner Circle offers. It offers you the entire process. You have somebody to walk through the journey with you. So the next thing that will be showing on your screen right now is our speaker's profile. Please let's listen to our speaker's profile. Thank you.
Ma'am Boham, fondly known as Ms. Mams, is an early years Montessori educator with over 13 years experience working with children from birth to 6. She is a founder and teacher for Head Start Early Learning, an early years solution center where she offers parent and teacher support, homeschool services, video entertainment for children, and online classes for children 3 to 6 years old. Her goal is for children everywhere to have positive experience with learning. She is the creator of the YouTube children's show, Games, Songs, and Stories with Ms. Mams. She uses her platform to inspire and educate teachers and parents on the best way to respond to children in the classroom and home. She also believes that in order to respond appropriately to our children, we must begin by responding appropriately to ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome to the 2021 Intentional Parents Conference, Meme Boham.
Welcome, Ma. Welcome, ma. So, Memboram will be speaking to us on how to deal with toddlers' tantrums. So, you have the floor, Ma.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it is such a joy to be here. It's such a joy to be here. You know, just the vision of this conference, it just really resonated with me. So I'm just very happy to be here. I only have 1 hour. I've been struggling and asking myself, how am I going to fit all of this into 1 hour? But I'm going to try my best. Okay, we're going to be talking about dealing with toddler tantrums. And I'm just going to be showing you, because I know that in order to deal with their tantrums, we need to understand them. We need to understand where they're coming from. We need to understand everything about the child. We need to understand ourselves. We need to understand our triggers. So I'll try my best and be covering all of that in this hour. Hello to everybody and welcome. I'm going to go straight to it, okay? So my goal is that at the end of my talk, you will be able to understand your child. You'll be able to know your role in your child's life, and you'll be able to understand what the tantrum is and be able to respond to that tantrum. Okay? And there'll be an exercise at the end. So listen so that you can, know how to answer that. Anyway, first off, I like to ask why. I mean, if we think about it, why do we have children? Because at the end of the day, it's like tantrum here, terrible twos, that one, but still, children are being born every day. Now, the adults have an agenda, like they have different reasons for becoming a parent. Some people, I want somebody that will look after me in my old age. Some people, I just want to feel that connection. Some people want to experience unconditional love. Some people want to raise a genius. Different people have different reasons for birthing their children, for having a family. Some people don't want children. They just want husband and wife, enjoy your life, But whatever your reason for birthing children, I want us to always remember that every child has purpose. There is a purpose for every child's life. Think about it. Every human, we know how to create things. Everything has a purpose. There's a purpose for the bed, purpose for TV, purpose for everything that we, man, have made has purpose. And even in the things that we make, for instance, a bed, somebody makes a bed. I'm sure the first person that made a bed was like, I'm tired of sleeping on the floor. Made the bed. And then somebody said, oh, this bed is nice, but it's quite hard. Let me make a soft one, a springy bed. So you have the same people with the same purpose, but they're not really the same. They're different. So if we know how to make things with purpose, how much more the creator of us makes children, we give birth to children, and he has a purpose for every one of us. Some people, their purpose is just to be the most friendly, amazing, kindest person, that when people come in your presence, they're just free to tell you everything. And they just get that strength from being in your presence. Some people, their purpose is to create something magnificent that nobody has ever seen. But whatever the case, every human being has purpose. So when we give birth to these children, they have purpose. There's purpose for their life. And I want us to see them like that. I want us to see our children as a child with a purpose. You don't know the purpose. They don't know it yet. But your role is to help them to be prepared for that purpose. Help them to be prepared for life, for the world that they're going into, that they will not have things hinder them from purpose. A lot of us as adults now, things are hindering us from our purpose. One thing that held me back was confidence because of my childhood, because of some things I experienced. I was not very confident, but I had to build it and build it and build it. And now I'm close to 40. And it's just now that I'm coming out and I'm building that confidence. And I'm like, if I had dealt with this thing years ago, I wouldn't be here. I would have started ages ago. So this is what we want for our children. We want to be able to start them early, building the confidence, preparing them for the world, preparing them for that purpose that they were designed for. So I want us to, whenever we look at our children, look at them. This one has purpose. What is my role? My role is to help them to get to that purpose. Now, another thing that we need to remember is, so our purpose is to help them, support them, guide them to that purpose. Our role is to love them. When they say love, the loved one, people is the easiest, because I love my child. I mean, when you even look at them when they're born, there's just that love it's just there. Now, I always say, one thing that would help you know time to time how you're doing in your love bank, just go to 1 Corinthians 13 and check. Just read through it and check again and see how your love is doing. How is my love bank? Am I loving exactly the way I should be? Love is patient. How's my patience today? Love is kind. Love holds no record of wrong. I'm always holding my child against that thing that they did, always reminding them of that thing that they did. I don't want to let it go. So we just have to keep going back there every now and again, just to check and make sure that, we are ticking. And when we see that, oh, I'm erring, dust yourself up and plan to do better. Another thing that is our role, apart from supporting and guiding and loving, is also to teach them how to learn. Because the truth is, what their purpose is, for them to even begin that journey of purpose, they need to know how to read. Because if they have to go to school, they need to know how to read. They need to be educated. But how many of us have noticed that school these days for children are struggling? School is just not it. Like, they go to school, they're teaching all these abstract concepts. The children are struggling. Do your homework, problem. Read your books, problem. Do you know why? Because we're not teaching them the how to learn. There is a way to learn. And then there is a way to teach them how to love learning. It's to look at them. What do they enjoy? And use those things to get them to learn anything. In my classroom, so you see a child struggling so much with numbers. You've done it, shown them over and over and over again, yet it's not sticking. What do? We just get the child. Okay, what does this child like? Then you start your observation, watching the child. This child loves cars. He loves trains. Any automobile, this child loves it. What do? We get your like. Okay, line up the trains. Now line them up. And then the child lines them up. Okay, now we're going to move 5 cars super fast to the end. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then he moves them. Oh, wait, before you move more cars, wait. Now let's go and look for number 5. Let's look for number 5. We go, this is 5. Now go and put it with the 5 cars that you just moved to that end. All right. There's so many different ways to get them to, sorry about that. There's so many different ways to get them to learn. Okay, so many different ways to get them to learn, so many different ways to get them to love learning. But we have to know, what is it that our child is telling us? What is it that our child loves? And that would help us know how we need to get to them. Okay, so we've now known our role as the adult. Now I want you to understand the child. Remember, I said, for you to understand the tantrum, for you to be able to get them to, to understand that tantrum that they're doing, that's, whatever they're doing, you have to understand where they're coming from. Now, there's something I like to call the magical areas of development. Now, these areas of development are amazing. They're the things that the child needs to adapt to the world, to understand the world, to live in the world. Yes, these things are given to them by nature. When God brought them into this world, he did not leave them, hopeless. He gave them all the tools and all the skills that they need to learn. Think about it. All the things the children, they're learning to walk. They're learning to talk. They're learning different languages. They're learning their motor skills, their social skills. All of these skills are happening at the same time, simultaneously. All of them. Can you imagine the brain work that's going on in the child's head? They're trying to understand the rules, at school. The rules at school are different from the rules at home. The rules at home are different from the rules at grandma's house. Grandma is speaking this language to them. This person is speaking that language. And what is it? They're taking it all in. If you take any adult and put them in the same situation that the child, they don't know how to walk, they don't know how to talk, and they have to start. Do you know how many years it will take us to learn these things? But the children, by the time they're 7, they formed the initial part of their development. So imagine all of those things going on at the same time. I want us to understand that those things are magical, and those things are the things that help the children to survive in this earth. It's so amazing when you realize what they're doing. I keep saying to parents, they're not testing you. It looks like they're testing you, but you know what they're doing? They're trying to understand. They're trying to understand you said their boundaries. Okay, let's understand this boundary. Because you told me not to jump on this chair. But yesterday I was jumping on it. You looked at me and removed your face. So that means I can jump. Then tomorrow I'm jumping and you're shouting at me. I don't understand. Am I to jump or am I not to jump? Because these rules, they're not very clear. Remember, this child is trying to understand the world that they're in. So if you're laying out boundaries, you have to be consistent, because you cannot tell them one thing today. A child that is understanding, okay, I want to know how the world works. So does that mean that boundaries now is different from school? Because in school, every time they say don't do this thing, they mean it. But in my house, they don't really mean it. So the child is now getting the message that at home, it doesn't really apply. but at school it applies. But sometimes it applies because sometimes my parents' voice is so loud, but sometimes they don't mind. So all these messages we're giving the children, and you know what we're doing? We're confusing them, but they just adapt, because that is another magical area of development, adaptability. They just are able to adapt. But the thing that it does to them is when they go into life, they don't really know. They're not really sure, So anyway, let me go through this quickly. I'm going to be naming a few of them and just showing you how these things can cause tantrums. There's the absorbent mind. If you know anything about Montessori, you know that Maria Montessori talks so much about the absorbent mind. The absorbent mind is like a camera. It takes in everything. It just absorbs all, everything. It doesn't say, okay, I'll take in just this and leave that. It takes everything. So everything you do, they're absorbing it. Everything you say, they will not say, okay, I will only absorb the one she said loudly. I will not absorb the one she whispers. They're taking the one you whispered, the one you said under your breath. They've absorbed it and they've taken it in. And because they need to understand their world, this absorbent mind works very, very fast. So you say something today, they're saying it tomorrow, because they need to learn it. They need to learn the language. They need to learn the world. So that absorbent mind is taking it all in quick. So we need to be very careful what we do with the children. Also, order. Have you noticed that your children, they like things in a particular place? Don't move that thing. They need it there. They need that order. They need order and routine. If you every morning you do something in a certain way, then you want to change it one day, you have just messed with them. You will get a major tantrum because they need that order. That order is what helps them to understand, okay, what do I need to? Imagine yourself, you go into a place, you don't know what to expect. You don't know, okay, what's happening? Somebody just said, okay, come on, we're going here. All right, then we're going here. Okay, then we're going there. Okay. What will happen to you? Confusion. And that's what happens to our children. Every time, all right, wake up, let's move here. There's no routine. Sometimes they eat in the morning. Sometimes you're in a rush, they eat in the car. Sometimes you're not in a rush, so they can eat for longer. And then even when we have these things, we don't communicate it to them. So we're just moving. We're not saying, okay, we normally eat at the table. And then you say, whenever you eat at the table. But then a day, maybe you need to have a meeting at the table. All right, eat at the dining table, eat on the couch. So what message are we giving them? There's no order there, because I've been told that dining table is for eating. All of a sudden now it's not for eating. So that order, some of them, you will see them, they will just not want to eat anywhere else, because that is messing with their sense of order. Now, the younger they are, the stronger the sense of order. By the time they're older, they've already understood that, well, in my house, some things go, some things don't go. Like I said, they're adaptable, All right, quickly, then there's independence. You will get a tantrum if you try to put those shoes on for them when they know how to put it on themselves. That is because they have this magical area of development called independence. And this independence is given to children so that they can learn to do things for themselves. They need it. If they don't learn it, if they don't have that desire to be independent, how will they learn the things that they learn to do? So they've absorbed you. They've been watching you, watching how you button up your shirt. What is it? Then there's now that strong desire for independence that makes them want to try it by themselves. And then you stopping them, you will get tantrum because they desire to be independent. It is inside them. It's innate. Then there's refinement of senses. They use their senses to understand the world, touching, tasting, smelling, seeing, listening. All of their senses, they're using it to understand the world, to explore the world. Same thing, you will get a tantrum if you try to stop that natural development that is going on in the children. Okay, another one is movement. We know that the children love to move, jumping, dancing, running, skipping, movement. They need it. That's how they develop themselves, And one thing I must remind us is that if you don't use it, you lose it. So if your child was very flexible as a child, very flexible when they were younger, they would want to do this, they want to somersault, and you're always stopping them. Stop it, you enjoy yourself, don't do that, do. They will not use it, and then they will lose it, right? As they grow older, that flexibility, and who knows, that may have been part of their purpose, to do something that has to do with that, but you've stopped it. So the desire will be there, but then there's I don't want to make mommy or daddy sad, because remember that our children, they love us so much that they're willing to put their their own purpose on hold for us. I don't know if you guys have seen parents who have a very clear picture of what they want their child to be. A parent who is like, listen, I wanted to be a footballer, I didn't get it, so my child must be a footballer. I wanted to be a doctor, I didn't get it, so my child must be a doctor. So they do everything in their power to make sure that their child does what they think is the child's purpose. How many of us know that the child will go along with the parents because of love? Because our children love us so dearly that thing we want to, even if inside them they're rebelling, they know that that's not what they're supposed to do. They will do it because of us, right? And then what happens when they get the certificate? What do? Thank you. Now let me go and live my life. But look at years that they've wasted, but we thank God for grace, because at the end of the day, it will not be wasted. But let us start them early on the path to observing them and knowing what actually is their own purpose, not our own agenda for their lives, So movement is something that is natural to them. They want to move, they need to move. Communication is another one. Talking, not even just communication, but socializing, knowing when to pause, to listen to somebody, communicate. So they're constantly watching other people communicate and constantly wanting to use the words, use the language, communicate with people, socialize. Also repetition, exactness, and self-perfection. The child wants to perfect themselves, and then there is also play and creativity, another thing. Now, a tantrum is an uncontrolled outburst of anger or frustration. It's uncontrolled. They have no control over it, right? So when they're having this tantrum, they're not choosing to have the tantrum. They cannot control it. They have not yet developed that skill to control the tantrum. Okay? So, and if we don't help them, if we don't support them to learn how to regulate themselves, if we don't support them by responding to them the right way to help them regulate themselves, what happens? What happens is, I don't know if you have seen the grown adults at the filling station who just has an explosion, and in your mind you're thinking, come on, there is something called self-control. Surely you could have held this thing in, because it's not a big deal, this thing you're shouting at and screaming at. You see grown-ups, that is because they were not supported when they were younger. They were either silenced or shushed. So they've held it inside and it comes out in explosion, or they were just left. Have your tantrum. There was nobody soothing them, supporting them, helping them understand what that emotion is and deal with it. So they grow up still having it. Today, we have adults who just have they have no control over it because they're not supported as children. That's not what we want for our children. We want to support them. We want to make sure that that they know how to handle these things. Now, there's two types of tantrums. People are moving very quickly. I hope you're getting this. I'm trying to move quickly so that we can answer questions. Okay, so there's two types of tantrums here. There's the adult aggravated tantrum. That means the tantrum that is caused by the adult. Yeah? And then there's the tantrum that is just the child emotional frustration. Okay? The adult aggravated tantrum is the adult that is aggravating that tantrum. So it's the adult that is bringing it out. It's the adult that is causing it. Let's call it spade a spade. But with the child emotional frustration, it's just they haven't yet developed it. Now on my job and my career, I have been able to observe the children and worked to a place where the tantrums I get now, 90% of the tantrums I get now are all emotional. They're just emotional frustration from the child. And I know how to help them to calm. So it lasts for like a minute and then they calm themselves down. Right? But there are those rare occasions where maybe I'm distracted or something is bothering me, something is bothering me emotionally and I'm not as present as I should be. And then what happens? I am the cause of that tantrum because I did not watch to observe what it is that they are telling me. So now I'm going to show you how to watch out before a tantrum comes, to be able to be more aware of what is going on in the child so that you don't aggravate that tantrum. Okay, now we're going to go back to the magical areas of development. Let's start with the absorbent mind. So this mind, I've told you, that takes everything in. Let me give you some examples of some things that it will take in that you can be, you can be the cause of this thing. So now I have anything you do, they will take in. Remember that. So let's say you get home from work. When you get home, what do? You kick your shoes off and just leave them on the side. You plan to tidy them up later, it's fine. Sometimes you get to them, sometimes you don't get to them. But whenever you get home, you kick your shoes off. That's just routine. You come in, kick your shoes off. Right? Now your child is very young. They're not yet able to take their own shoes off, but they're watching. They're absorbing. What message are you giving them? You're giving them the message that this is what we do with our shoes. Right? You've given them the message that when we get home, we kick our shoes off. They've absorbed it. They've taken it as part of their personality, right? So when they grow older, 3 years old, they can kick their shoes off. What do? They come home, they kick their shoes off. And what do you do? What is that? They have seen you do it. So they have even absorbed it so much that they cannot wait until they're able to independently kick their shoes, because the desire for independence, they've absorbed your movement, they've absorbed this routine. It's now part of their order, it's now part of their life. Now they have the skills to do it. All right, let's do this thing. The way they kick their shoes off is the same way they brush their teeth. The way they kick the shoes off is the same way they make the bed that they've copied you doing. The way they kick their shoes off is the same way they set the table. The way you've set the table, you've shown them, this is how we set the table. You've done it, they've watched you, you've shown them how to do it, they're copying you. The same way, they've absorbed that thing. So if you go and tell the child, will you remove your shoe from there? What do you think will happen? They are crying not because they are being stubborn, but they're crying because you are telling them to stop something that they have made a part of their life. You people, do you understand? Are you understanding this thing? Are you getting it? I hope you're getting it. Please let me know if you guys are getting it. Go on. Somebody says, okay. Because the children have absorbed all of this movement. They've absorbed everything. Then you now want to stop them from doing what they have made a part of their personality. That's why you're having a tantrum. So sometimes when a tantrum is, you don't understand where it's coming from, watch it. Watch it and ask yourself, do I do this thing? You see them do something that is so weird. Ask yourself, who does this in my household? Who does this amongst the area, everywhere the child goes to? Where have they picked this thing up from? Before you stop them, before you tell them to stop doing something, think about where it has come from. Now, after thinking about where it has come from, then you think about the strategies to change it. Because if you kick your shoes and they're kicking and you know, okay, this is from me. Easy. Oh, you've kicked your shoes. Yes, I do that sometimes. Let me show you what we should do instead. You take the shoes, you put them together by the door, wherever you put them. You put your own. I tell you, the first day that child does that, when you say, oh, okay, let's do it together. You put your own shoes and they put, do you know that you will not have a tantrum? You will have a child being, oh, okay, we're doing something new. They will pick their shoes and put it with you. But now tomorrow they'll still kick those shoes off because they've learned it. You just have to be consistent in doing it yourself so that they absorb the new pattern, doing it yourself and then reminding them, oh, do you remember what do we do to the shoes? So whatever they've picked up from somewhere, note where they've picked it up, correct the behavior so that they're no more absorbing the wrong thing, then show them the new way and make the new way consistent. Let them continue to consistently see the new way, right? Then you will not be having all these meltdowns that you don't understand where they're coming from. They're coming because the child has developed themselves and you're trying to stop them from what they've already developed. So that's just a little example from the absorbent mind. Let's go to order now. Order in routine, order in the environment. That's one thing that is very good. Some people like to decorate. They like to change their houses. They like to, put I don't like the vase here. I'm going to move it over here. I don't like the picture frame here. I'm going to lose it over here. I don't know, people like that. Your children, you'll be having major tantrum in your household, because imagine your child walking into the safe haven that is their home, because the world out there is madness. The house is their safe haven. They walk into their safe haven and then this thing was here. I know that this is where it goes. Why has it moved? And your child is crying and having a major tantrum and you have no idea why. Then they're telling you, picture. You're like, picture did what? I've moved it now. Yes, they know you've moved it, but why have you moved it? And like I said, they're adaptable, so they will adapt. But what message are you giving them? You're giving them the message that, listen, life is like that. Today is here, tomorrow is their weather. And remember that their external order is what helps their internal order. The external, if there's order in the room, there's order in the environment, there's order in the atmosphere, then the child is developing order inside. They're developing a stream, a smooth flow, their insides are ordered. They're calmer, they're more at peace because there is order around them. There's order in their routine. They know that when they wake up in the morning, what do we do first? We brush our teeth. They know that when they wake up in the morning, what do we do first? We lay our bed. We lay our bed. We do, as much as possible, try and have a routine that they will follow. Because it's not just about the order. Yes, the order is beautiful and it helps them too when they grow up to also have an orderly, environment. But it's also working on something that is even greater than you can imagine, something on the inside of them. So if you notice that your child all of a sudden is screaming for something that was moved, you just know. Now, I'm not saying don't move things, because sometimes when I share it, people say, oh, does that mean that children should just do whatever they like? No. Which is why when I say everyone, I tell you what you can do. So if you're going to move something in the house, you have to let them know. Oh, even involve them. I want to move this thing here. What do you think? Depending on the age of the child. If it's a younger child, you just tell them, let's move this together. And we move it. They've seen the process of moving, not coming into their safe house that they know where everything is, and then all of a sudden somebody has moved everything. But with them, obviously they're not really carrying it, but you're just like, let's move this here. They can see you, or you tell them, I'm going to move this here. Oh, look at beautiful. They're involved in that process. If they're older, you tell them, I want to change things up in the room. Sometimes you can change things to make it look more beautiful. I want to move this to this. Involve them in that, because that's their safe space. So they need to know what's going on so that it doesn't, catch them by surprise and then create that tantrum that you're trying to avoid. So some tantrums you can see from a change of routine. Every morning we go in the car to school. Today we're going in a bus to school. What's going on? You have the child lying on the floor because you have messed and tampered with their order. The only thing to do is let them know. Sometimes we don't talk to the children. I don't know why. Just tell them, we're not going with the car today. We're going with the bus, okay? We're going with the bus. This is the bus we're going with, blah, 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 blah. Prepare them. If you're going to change the order in routine or anything, just prepare them and it'll be fine. They still might have a tantrum, but it will not be as, as big as an outburst as it would if you prepare them for it. And then when they're used to being prepared and it becomes part of a lifestyle, it's consistent, they'll know. Now with work, I work with families for homeschool. If I'm going to change anything in the routine, I let the children know. We normally go to the park at this time, but today I'm going to switch it up. We're going to do a painting because I thought we could do something for Mother's Day. So we're going to do a painting first and we'll go later in the afternoon. I prepare them from the day before. In the morning, I remind them, remember I told you yesterday that if I didn't know the day before and I just thought of the idea, I will let them know, do you want us to do it this way or should we do it that way? As much as possible. I know that everything is not all black and white, it's not all cut in stone, but as much as possible. And you see when it's consistent, right? The child understands that, okay, I know what to expect. Okay, so independence, that one is very self-explanatory. I think that one is the one that we get a lot of tantrums too. The child wanting to do things by themselves. With this one, I always advise replace. If it's not safe, don't give it to them because of independence. Independence, I want to climb the ladder that mommy and daddy have absorbed climbing the ladder. I want to climb ladder. If it's not safe, give them something else. Explain to them, not this one, you can climb this one. Not this one, we can climb the ladder when we go to the park. Not this knife, the blunt knife. Do you see what I'm saying? So they want to be independent. You test it as the adult in life. See the one you're more comfortable with, the one that okay, they can handle this, and then prepare them for it, let them know, and give an alternative. Give an alternative to avoid a major meltdown. And the truth is, sometimes if it's that, if they're trying to be independent with something that they're just not ready for, there will be times where you have to say, ooh, not now, instead do this. But alternatives will really, really, really avoid a huge explosion. Now, this one was the biggest one for me because I found that I I think the other ones I kind of knew, but this one was very difficult for me to spot. And it's just exploration, especially sensorial exploration, them exploring with their senses. You know, I wouldn't know what they're doing. And let me tell you, let me explain why. So I was with a child and I was calling this child's name. I must have called them 5 times and they didn't answer me. And I was getting very ticked off because to me, rudeness used to be a big trigger for me, you know? So why am I calling this child and this child is not answering me? And I would tell them, excuse me, I've been calling, blah, 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 blah. One day, I sat down with this same child. I called the child name, and I thought to myself, calm down. Why is this child not answering you? Because you know that they're not just being rude. So what is it? I thought that they were just absent-minded, that they're just an absent-minded child. So I was like, she's absent-minded, you know, absent-minded again. So for me, it's like, get her attention back. But one day I decided to be quiet and listen. And I realized that she was listening to the sound of a plane going by. Ooh, she just kept quiet. In fact, that my calling was distracting her, but she had somehow managed to block me out so that she could really listen to this plane that was going past, listening. And so I kept quiet too, and I listened to it. And when the plane went past, she looked at me and said, aeroplane. And I got it. I got it. I was like, oh my goodness, sensorial exploration. All I needed to do was give her 2 more seconds. She said aeroplane. I called her name. She answered me and we continued what we were doing, you know? So the one I'm telling her, I'm calling her, she's not answering. Then I pick her up and then she starts crying. And I'm like, why? I was calling you, didn't hear. She couldn't hear me because she was exploring sensorially. Remember, these things are given by nature to help the children understand the world. How does she know it's an airplane? How can she identify the sound? Airplane. How can she differentiate between an airplane and a dog barking? It's by exploring the senses, by listening. When she goes out in the world, the observer is taking everything in at the same time. She's able to listen to a dog, listen to a car, listen to an airplane at the same time, identify each unique sound. But what do? We talk over them, we interrupt them, and then if you don't use it, you lose it. So you wonder, some people will just taste something and they'll be like, I can taste coriander. And you're like, how are you tasting coriander? Me, I don't have that. I can't taste. But these are people who are encouraged to continue to explore with their senses, to taste things. Or somebody's and then, I can smell, and they tell you the thing that is cooking in the kitchen. That's sensorial exploration that wasn't discouraged from childhood. They grew up with it. But when anytime they're doing something, they're exploring sensorially, you're stopping them, then you either have a tantrum or you just have a child who will give in. Because why? They love us more than any exploration that they're doing. So they will give in and they will lose it. You know, so these things are the things. We all have the capacity to use our senses at such a high level. But your brain, if you don't use it, you lose it. So what happens when we don't use these things? We lose it and we grow up. I don't feel texture of anything because I never used it, you know. Smell, you just smell the essentials, the things that you like because you didn't really use it, you know. But if we are exploring sensorially, we're giving them different things to use, giving them lots of different exploration, you know. They're developing it. Okay, next one is movement. Movement. This one is a big one because children are flying up and down in the living room, flying from the couch to the, you know, because there is that desire to move. That's why you'll be wondering, these children, why can't you sit still? They can't, because they have this development area, which is movement. They have to move. That's how they learn to walk. That's how they learn to fly. We can all, if we keep working on, how do you think the athletes do it? They didn't stop. What you don't use, you lose. They didn't stop. They kept on using it. You know. And the children, when they're smaller, they want to do everything. They want to. Just today with the child I was with, she saw a boy on his bike and he was, you know, lifting the bike, and she with her little bike too was trying to copy. She's not afraid to do it. But what do? Stop it! Don't do that. You'll fall down. You know. Yes, so be cautious. But there's also room to calm down and let them try. You know, let them try. Now, not in the house. There must be rules. That's one thing I always remind parents. You know, Not in the house. There's a place and a time for anything. In the house, have an area where they can, run around, play in your garden or wherever. Have an area that is fine. But if we're saying the living room is for sitting and watching TV or for sitting on the floor or whatever, let the living room be the living room. But if you have a playroom, in the playroom you can play in, but you need to have areas in your house that is for that movement, because they need the movement. So if a child wants to jump around in a place that they're not, and there's no space in the room that they are allowed to jump around, just let them know, okay, I know that you need movement. Tomorrow we're going to go to the park. We're going to go to wherever you need to take them to. You go there, you jump, you run. There's space here. There's a big, green area, grass and everything. You have enough space to do your running, your jumping. You can climb the tree and everything, and remember to show them how and trust them, believe them. Just be there to support them. We need to stop stopping them from doing everything. I know that we're scared and that parenting instinct, you don't want to, but that your fear is making them fear, and then the things that they can do naturally and the confidence that they can build, you're losing it because of that fear. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go quickly to our activity. Okay, I'm going to go quickly to our activity. Now, I'm going to read some scenarios for you. I want you to listen and see if you can identify which type of tantrum this is, okay? And also tell me what the child is doing. So identify which tantrum this is and tell me what you think from what we've talked about, what we think that the child is doing, okay? All right. A 2.5-year-old girl is out in the garden. She's chasing a lizard, and then she stops and looks at this shiny hibiscus flower. It wasn't there yesterday, hadn't bloomed yesterday, but all of a sudden it has just bloomed in all of its glory. So she walks towards it excitedly. She's clapping her hands. Then she touches the flower, and then she smells it, and she touches it again, and she claps her hands, and she's just smelling the flower and staring at it. And then an adult family member comes out. Which name will I use now? Chinyere! Chinyere, come inside! She's not, obviously she can't hear. She's there, touching the flower, smelling it. She's just so happy. Chinyere, come inside! Nothing. This girl, they go. What do? They jack her, take her into the house, put her down, close the door, lock the door. Did you not hear me calling you? What does she do? She gets up, goes to the door. She's trying to open the door. She's knocking on the door. Then she lies on the floor in defeat, and she's kicking and screaming, and she's crying and crying and crying and crying. And what does the adult do? Stay there. And they walk away. Your food is getting cold. If you like, don't come and eat. I was calling you, you didn't answer. Stay there. Your food is here. If you don't eat it, it will be there for you. Go to sleep hungry. I can see you. Adult aggravated tantrum. Thank you. And sensorial exploration. Exactly. That is it, people. Thank you. Sensorial exploration. Exactly. This child has discovered something amazing. And what do? We stop her. Right? What you could have done, Chinyere, she's not listening to you. Walk over to her. What is she doing? You look at her. You say, Chinyere, we're going in for dinner in 2 minutes, okay? I'll come and let you know when it's 2 minutes. Go back and watch her. If you just even sit and watch her, then she now tells you, flower. Is that not a teachable moment where you now go and name the parts of the flower and you tell her all the beautiful things about nature? You open her eyes to the beauty that is in the garden. And when you finish, she and you walk inside, wash hands, have a beautiful, delicious dinner, and life moves on. Isn't that amazing? So instead of the tantrum and the craziness and not eating, she goes to bed hungry, and then you say you love her. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm very, very glad that you guys are getting it. I'm very, very glad. I'm glad. I'm going to end here now.
Wow. That was great. Thank you so much, Ma. That was
Thank
an
you.
amazing session. Super, super amazing. I learned so much. My notepad are filled up already. All
Thank
right, it's time for questions. Please drop your questions, and we'll be giving our speaker 1 or 2 breaks just for her to drink water, relax, and knives, and all of that. So while we wait, I would play a video, a testimonial video from one of the members of the inner circle. Don't forget, I said earlier that the TIP Inner Circle is an annual program for parents who wants to walk their journey intentionally. So please listen to this short testimonial.
Hello, my name is Susu Itwen. I am a mom of 2 children, 2 amazing toddlers. I'm also a gender and development professional trained in the UK. I actually live in the UK, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm here to share my experience with you so far in the inner circle. I joined the inner circle March 2021 after so many reviews and testimonies on the tip page on Facebook. So I thought to myself, I've been following this page for a while now. I've attended the conferences they've done. I've learned so much. I've followed up the Tuesday podcast video, live videos. And I thought there has to be something else. There has to be a better way of accountability and walking through this journey. So I joined in March. And since then, it's been mind-blowing. Like, it's been hectic, but it's been mind-blowing. Okay, the thing that I want to highlight today is the atmosphere in the inner circle. That has been the top for me. The atmosphere is just something else where you come into the room, there is a good vibes, positive vibes. There is something to learn all the time. People are sharing their experiences, and you just really, and you look like yourself. I'm not alone. Okay, so it's so much fun. We are learning a lot. We are reading books and learning from the experiences of others who have walked through this journey. Atmosphere is key for you in your parenting journey. Why? Because the society has a lot of information that you don't even need for your journey. There's a lot of missed and error information, put it that way, that are out there. So you need to position yourself in the right atmosphere, in the right direction of what you want to achieve. Okay, so that is why I prefer inner circle to anything else happening around my parenting journey, because I get to see other people, learn from them, and draw strength. You can't do this alone. It can be very tough. I've had frustrating moments parenting, but I realize that I need people, and Coach Wendy has amazingly done that in the inner circle. So I give it up to all the yadas. You are doing amazingly well. Now, if you're interested, or perhaps you're wondering, I don't have time. For me, I really wondered a lot of time, like I don't have time to do this. But I realized that we make out time for what is important to us. And the gift of children are the greatest gifts anyone can think of to nurture. So I urge you to create time and join us. And perhaps you think, okay, you have had it all. You've had all the experience, 20 years experience. There's nothing to correct. Oh my God. You can still be a grandma. You can still be a grandpa. You can still nurture children around you in the society as a teacher. So I urge you to join us. It's fun. We are learning. We are being refueled daily, because this journey can be very tough. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you so much, Mom, for the opportunity and for all you do for us. Have a good day and see you in the inner circle.
Some results. Awesome results from the CIP Inner Circle members. So if you want this kind of amazing results, book your slot for 2022. Please create time for your children by joining the Inner Circle program. Thank you, Ma. I can't see any question from my end here.
Okay, I think I can see a few, by the way. Thank you, Miss
Okay,
Mems.
I
That
can
was
see it.
so precise. So we need to come and drink more from your wealth of knowledge.
There's so much to learn. Some things you were saying, I was like, oh, I wish when I was a toddler mom, I had someone to teach me like this. I tell the parents in the inner circle, the ones who have toddlers, and I say to them that you are the greatest, you are the greatest advantage that many of us who, did it, winged it, got to the point where we now started learning. In fact, you should be doing Thanksgiving every day when you remember that you're a toddler parent. Honestly speaking, many things that I hear, many things that I know myself and I teach. Sometimes I teach it and I'll tell parents I didn't even have the opportunity to actually be able to practice some of this. I wish, I did. Thank you so much for bringing so much value to us this evening. We have two questions. I think there's one on the screen that says, my son is 3 years, will have a major brushing issue. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I had this one too. When my son, he's 10 now, so he's brushing fine. But I had to do it with him. I had to do it with him. Both of us at the sink, me with my toothbrush, him with his own toothbrush, and we'll do it together. I'll be like, all right, slowly. It could be that he doesn't like the sensation of the bristles on his teeth. He doesn't like that, sensation. It could be that. It could be anything. He doesn't like the toothpaste, whatever. But when he sees you do it at the same time, so I would brush. I'll tell him, look, we're doing it together. You two do it together, and we would brush together, brush your tongue, and slowly, small. The truth is, I know that you are afraid that I don't want my son's teeth to fall. I don't want my son's mouth to be smelly. Those teeth, he will lose it. So let us start by at least getting him comfortable with it instead of trying to force, the teeth, because he's hating it more. The more you force it on them, the more they run away. So just the front teeth, small. Today, you just do the front teeth. Okay, now let's wash the tongue. It's not really doing much. Then the next day, okay, now let's brush this side. What you're doing is you're easing them up to it. You're gradually, slowly getting them used to it, getting them used to that sensation of the toothbrush on the teeth. So just gradually increase a little bit more every day until they're used to it. And then now my son brushes, he's fine, obviously. He brushes his teeth now, but yeah.
Okay, so we have another question. Well, interestingly, questions around toddler tantrum is one place that I know that if we sit here, the parents will fry you like plantain. I told you at the beginning now. But hey, we are bringing Miss Mems to the inner circle to come and teach specifically. So if you want to hear more, join us. Don't worry. Don't be jealous. Just join us. Be there. We're going to create a system where she'll be able to actually, go through the structures. And because we can't answer all your questions, no one conference can solve all your problems. I keep saying that. All right. Someone said, my son is 19 and relationship with potty is non-existent. So he's talking about potty
Yeah.
training. Yes.
Same thing. I've also experienced this one, as well with a child. What I did was we sat on the potty. He sat on the potty. I sat there with them on the floor in the toilet, chatting away, because it will take time. It's not a quick. It will take time. So we'll sit down there. We're chatting. Where he's talking, I'm talking. Okay, so what are we doing now? Oh, has it come out yet? No. All right, that's fine. Let's sit. Because you've said unless I make him sit there for long, he will sit there for long. He has to sit there for long to get used to it. But you need to be there with them. You can't be off, because whatever you're doing is more interesting than them sitting down. So bring your work to the toilet and type, oh, I need to make this quick phone call. You sit there, I'm here with you, I'm not going anywhere, but be there with them on the potty. And remember, it will take time. These things are not automatic. Just keep trying, keep doing it again and again, and understand that when you win now, the future is amazing. Just like Wendy was saying, me too, when my son, I've been trained for as long as my son. I was trained when my son was born. But some of the things I know now and I do with other people's children, I didn't do with him. And now just seeing him, like the kind of conversations we have now, and just the independence and everything, how I can trust that I know he's fine. I know the things he's capable of. Now I know that all of that sacrifice, at a point I left my job because I was like, I was working mad hours. I had to be there with him. So for a year, I just homeschooled him. And when I felt like, okay, he was becoming more, attentive and calmer, then we put him back in, but it takes time. It takes time. It takes consistency. So yes, just be there with him in the toilet. Be there. It will come out.
Righty, like I always say, there is, I listen to parents, and you hear things like, I don't really have time. I don't have time to parent my children. Oh, I don't. You want magic? There's no magic anywhere.
No
Nobody
shortcut.
is good. There's no shortcuts. Nobody is going to hand you a magic wand, and then when you finish the conference, you just enter your room and just see the child. You just wave it. Phew, meme hands. Miss Spence gave me a magic wand today. You fling it, and then everything will turn. Is a lie. I am here to bust your bubbles. I'm sorry. You need to commit to the process. You need to, put time. Whenever parents come to me and they say, "Oh, I don't have time," these days we actually say it in a very posh way. I really don't have time. I'm a very busy woman, and all of that. I'm a very busy man, and all of that. You need to make a choice. What do you want to do? The structure that you want to create, how do you want to put it together? There are a lot of things that I was able to do with the twins when they were toddlers that I have seen extreme results. Extreme result right now. I will not leave my home today and I would be in the house thinking, oh, I need to remove the smart card. I need to remove the game part because they're going to play the game because I'm not around. All of that doesn't exist, is non-existent. The truth of the matter is that if you lay the foundation right, you see all this discipline you're shouting about, all the screaming, all the flogging, you don't need it if you've been able to do your homework. Unfortunately, we're not ready to do the work. So, of course, we rely on the quick fix, which just quick fixes and then create a mess in the adult life that we have today. So, there's no other way. There's no other way to do it. We need to begin to round up now because we'll have another session at exactly 6 p.m. where we're going to be having Coach. That's a coach, Oluwa Bome. I'm coming all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, coming to teach us on parenting with peace and calm. It's a subject that I love so much because in my journey as a parent, I found myself where it was very chaotic and I had to walk my way from that chaos to the calm that have existed. That was just before I had the twins 11 years ago. I was privileged to raise a foster daughter that was a mess at the beginning. And that was when I realized that you see this thing, it can't be done with fight. You can't fight your way through. All right, you need to intentionally do it. Meme, what will be your last words as we begin to round up? By the way, Meme Bohans is on Instagram. You want to follow her page on Instagram. We're going to share her page on the Telegram group as usual, where Miss Mems, all right, is on Instagram where she shares a lot. You can just find her as Mems, just Miss Mems. Just put MS Mems and you'll be able to find her. Not to worry, we'll share the link with you right away as we get off this session. She's, in fact, I've told you, the inner circle parents, don't worry. We have adopted her. We like to adopt. We have carried this one. We're going to do so. Dance where you are there. Thank you, Miss Mems. So, plus, what will be your last words as we begin to round off today?
I would just say, make a decision and take it one day at a time. Make a decision and take it one day at a time. That would just be my last words.
Make a decision and take it one day at a time. I would like to also say thank you to Joy. Joy is an active team member in the TIP Academy. Joy, what will be your last words to the parents that are listening today?
Their involvement cannot be substituted by anybody. So their part of doing cannot be replaced.
Awesome. Your involvement can never be substituted by anybody. Whatever it is that you're doing can never be replaced. Thank you, Joy. We do not take your time for granted. Thank you for all you do for the TIP Academy. We are excited. We love you. Thank you, Miss Mems. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And see you in the next session in a few seconds.